I joined the Million Veteran Program in order to ensure that veterans like myself get the absolute best care possible.
I joined the MVP program to help medical advancements for veterans that look like me.
To ensure that no veteran ever had to die from an unknown disease.
I joined MVP because I still want to be part of something bigger than myself.
To help advance and improve the care for veterans today and in the future, which very well could be my children's.
Might not help me, might not help my friends, but it'll help the next generation.
My why for MVP is every veteran.
You are our why.
You are our why. The veterans are our why.
You are our why.
To each and every veteran in MVP, you are our why.
Please visit Exceptional Parent Magazine and sign up for free at epmagazine.com to get your free monthly magazine with a new U.S. military section. Also, please make sure to visit Exceptional Parent Mag on Facebook and EPMZINE on X or Instagram.
Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis. I am your host. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hubazoo Network. You can find out more on hubazoo.com. I want to thank my sponsors, Joyce Asek of Asek Real Estate, Army National Guard veteran Mark Holmes of Reapers Detailing and Power Washing, and my supporters, all veteran-owned businesses, Bone Frog Warrior, Black Cat Designs, Caisson Shaving Company, and Savage American Woodwork. It's Christmas time. We are rolling through this Christmas special I'm doing about Wreaths Across America. And as me being part of Wreaths Across America Radio, I want to thank Jeff Pierce for my next guest. You've heard from Brian Wiebold, you've heard from Karen Worcester, and now from parts not around here, we have Courtney George joining us here on Oscar Mike Radio. Courtney, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your day to talk with me.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to be here. Maybe not where you are, but it is. We'll get into all that. You're part of Wreaths Across America. We'll get to that in a second, but kind of tell us a little bit about your background, because you did not serve the military, but you're working in your way to advocate for veterans and people who have served. So who is Courtney George?
That's a great question. I would say that I am a patriotic person who has several members of the military in our family, and throughout our history, and most importantly, loved the transportation industry, spent close to 20 years in there before stepping over to Wreaths Across America, still working in transportation, and have the opportunity to take my talents in transportation and use them for something that's good, which is helping, veterans, honoring them, and also helping their families heal. I think that's something that's really important as people all have different journeys and walk through different segments of life. Being able to do that is really something that's rewarding.
So transportation is more than just putting gas in a vehicle, loading up a vehicle, and then driving from point A to point B. There's more to it than, right? I don't want to oversimplify it, but a lot of people see the big trucks on the road and, going here and there, and it's just, you don't even really see it anymore. But without these trucks, as Brian was telling me, we wouldn't have a United States. What drew you into the transportation industry?
Absolutely. I am from a small town in North Carolina. And I'm from the furniture capital of the world, High Point, North Carolina. As a child, I watched NAFTA get passed, and a lot of the jobs for furniture making and manufacturing went overseas. So as I was going through college, I was thinking, what can I get a job in that isn't going to go away? Because, I tell people 3 days without trucks moving on the highway, there aren't any groceries in the store. There's nothing on the shelves. many people take our professional drivers that are out there day in and day out for granted. So for me, transportation kind of popped up and I got a job in it right out of college and thought, hey, if I don't like it, I can always switch. Unbeknownst to me, here I am almost 20 years later, absolutely loving it. And most importantly, still getting to work with our professional drivers, but also, have my own way of honoring our veterans and our service members throughout the country.
So what is it? I mean, you don't stay in something for 20 years unless you either really like it or hate it,
I tell people it's Hotel California. You can check in anytime you want, but you will never leave. And I think part of transportation, what makes it so special is you get really accustomed to how fast paced it is. The challenge that you get every day. Every day I learn something new in transportation, whether it's a new DOT rule or regulation, how it's going to get applied, how it's going to affect a driver, whether, there are so many different things, or a new scenario that I run into and that I have to problem solve it. And that to me is a lot of fun, is being able to take a problem, and none of them are the same, but being able to come up with a solution that works for your customer, for us, for, the location coordinators, but also for your shipper who are donating their services. So we all kind of work together, find the solution, and, have the best possible outcome.
So let's put it like this. It's suffice to say that transportation has changed. You say every day, but think about where you started 20 years ago versus now, just with the advent of GPS tracking on trucks. I got to ask, Courtney, how did they do it in the old days?
Man, cell phones were really important. I remember when you could pick your 5 faves, and I was like, make sure the dispatch is on one of your 5 faves. If you only get 3, it still needs to be in those 3. A lot of it was done by phone. A lot of it, we had, some Qualcomms that would track, but not to the limit and the, capabilities that they have today. We didn't have cameras in trucks like many carriers do today. We have so much technology that is changing this industry. I remember when I started, we still took paper applications. Mind-blowing, mind-boggling, I know. And I was like, it's not been that long. But now everything is electronic. We can, do any type of training that a driver needs, all done electronically from their cell phone or from their in-cab computer. We have all different capabilities to be able to do that. And, for us, the tracking part is really important, and that our carriers can track and see, and we can know, weather's coming, all these different types of things are coming, and we love that. Being able to see how technology has improved the experience, for customers is really important, but it also helps us in the trucking industry on the front end, right? Are you getting delayed at the shipper? What, detention pay used to be a real big thing. The advent of the technology has really helped cut down on detention time, but it also will show he was here at this, your driver was here at this time. They didn't get him loaded until this time, and it's cut clear. So it is, for your shipper, it also puts them, it holds them against the clock. The driver's held against a clock to deliver, the receiver's held against a clock to get them unloaded. Everything plays a part, and it is all this, one event throughout the supply chain that makes it happen, which is pretty cool.
Just before we get into Wreaths Across America, because I want to, go there. But one thing I was thinking of, because I'm looking at doing some traveling, motorcycling in different countries, the countries I'm looking at going to, their trucks don't really look like the ones in the United States. They're not like managed the same level. It seems like it's really the Wild West. And the question of safety comes up. Just how safe are American truck drivers on the whole as compared to other nations?
Truck drivers are, as a whole, are very safe.
Oh.
There is so much technology within their trucks that the general public, probably isn't aware of. But that technology for them is huge. I would put myself in a vehicle with a professional driver that I don't even know before I would probably put myself in a vehicle with my best friend driving. They have that much training and coaching and development for our professional drivers that are out there. They are held to federal regulations that they are required to maintain. And that is something that companies take very seriously. We have really, as an industry, have had to crack down because there have been, so many catastrophic lawsuits out there. And so for us as an industry, the crackdown and the use of technology is really what I would say is important. I don't like to use the word crackdown a lot, but it is something that has revolutionized trucking. We can tell if there's a hard braking incident, and the camera will go off and it will detect, did something happen within the truck? Did something happen outside of the truck, which is typically what most of the events are. But does there need to be a coaching? Did they look down? Did they look away? Did they did somebody step in front of their truck? Did a deer run out? Did all of these things happen? What happened to make them, make that event happen on their cameras? So that technology being there is making America safer. It is making our drivers, I think it's making the environment for our drivers out there safer as well.
It just it's amazing seeing the level of driving here and then watching videos of where I'm wanting to go in other countries. It's like, wait a minute, I might not want to be on the main roads where those vehicles are. It's just really something because, talking with Brian Wiebold about this, the logistical side of doing this, and then caring about what happens. And what happens is right now, folks, is, Courtney is in, Cumberland Falls, Maine.
Columbia Falls, Maine. Absolutely.
Columbia Falls, Maine, excuse me. And that is north of where I've been to Bangor, Cadillac Mountain, and Bath and Augusta, Maine. But that's north of that right now. So it's got to be cold, right, Courtney?
It is cold for me. I'm from Georgia, so this hits a little bit differently as I adjust in my seat. So I try to stay as warm as possible. But it's beautiful up here. But even I struggle driving. We've had some inclement weather, and I've had to say, hey, I don't know how to drive in this. We don't do that down south. And had a professional driver step up and, take me somewhere that I needed to go because I wanted to go down to the driver's lounge and say thank you to the drivers who showed up. The weather here is chilly, but it is, this gives me the winter Christmas experience every year.
Walking in a winter wonderland. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And, that to me is great. I only have to have that winter experience for about 3 weeks out of the year, which is great. And hopefully by the time I get back to Georgia, it'll somewhere be in the high of the 50s or 60s. Fingers crossed. But, the winter wonderland that is here has been, great. It's definitely beautiful, and I enjoy the sights that I get to see for sure.
So you're there, at the headquarters, right? Karen was talking about this, where these trucks will come in, load up all these wreaths, and then go out to different parts of the country. December 16th is the launch day for all this. It's spooling up. You're giving me some time right now. I don't know how you're doing this. What goes into what you're doing now for Wreaths Across America?
There's an extreme amount of planning. Today, we're probably going to load out about 75 loads, at least 75 over the next 3 days. And we've been loading over about a 3-week period. You'll see us load out a lot of these loads. But we also have coordinated loads that have gone intermodally throughout the country. So not only do we have intermodal carriers like JB Hunt that have really supported us and have gotten those loads on the rail, we've had BNSF, we've had Norfolk Southern as well, that have definitely played a key part in getting Wreaths to where we need to. We have a partner on the West Coast, a shipping partner called Matson, who helps us deliver the Wreaths into Alaska, Guam, as well as Hawaii. So we're sending Wreaths into all 50 states, plus, several territories out there, which is great. On the East Coast, we have Crowley, who gets all the Wreaths down into Puerto Rico and gets those delivered. We have so many amazing partners that have stepped up, that understand this mission, that know how many logistics people come from the military. We talk about it. The Army is a great example of having a huge logistics department. But as do all the other branches. We see so many veterans within the transportation industry because we operate kind of just like the Army or just like the military in many ways, that you have a way that it's done and it gets done that way, and it's done consistently from a safety standpoint. So having all these trucks that are up here, having all of our drivers that are here and so excited to be here in Columbia Falls. So many of them are veterans or either Gold Star families. They are happy to be here. They love to get loaded. This is the one driver lounge you will walk into and everyone is happy to be there. That's in my 20-year career, the best thing that I can say is when a driver comes in to see me, they are happy. And I know there are so many carriers that would love to be able to say that.
Because that's the thing, right? Karen was telling me they have like a big driver's lounge up there, and they've really worked hard. You all have worked hard to make it comfortable for the driver to relax while the truck's being loaded out. And Tyson brings in food and it's warm. And
the cook team is good. Look, evidently today is brisket and burnt ends. That's
right.
That's elite to me. So the Tyson's cook team being up here, in addition to the loads and providing protein for us, is enormous. But these drivers, this is very much a family. They are connected. They are friends. There's a whole Facebook page to Moving the Mission that these drivers are participating in, that they absolutely love. Their carriers are sharing. Because when I'm, it's not very hard when I start talking to most of our carriers to say, I'm sure you have a veteran, and they'll be like, well, our SVP served. I'm not surprised to see that veteran that has come in, that's had the background and has been successful. I'm not surprised to hear somebody started in a truck and is now at a VP level, and they 100% want to thank their brothers and sisters who served.
Just thinking here, I mean, is there any other ways for people who are not in the trucking industry to help you all out during this time of year?
Absolutely. So during this time of the year, we not only bring the drivers in and we supply them with 3 hot meals a day, but you can also help. I mean, you can sponsor. We have our driver's lounge. We always need products. I will tell people food. I have seen more fruit eaten this year. We've set some fruit out and that's been great. We also have thank you bags for every single one of our drivers. This year they get a crew neck sweatshirt, which I think is great. They get a trucking hat with the Honor Fleet logo that is really pretty neat. I'm doing this because that's where the logo is on the hat. They're really great gifts. We've had some really good sponsors. Dan Brown with Bull Snot. Everyone gets a can of their glass cleaner. You can find Bull Snot at, Pilot's Flying J's. My dad swears by the glass cleaner, I have to say. Easy Claw sent us some of their stuff out. So there are so many people that can help support, sponsor. Even if you just wanted to sponsor coffee, drivers love coffee. We go through more coffee there than anything. And people joking up, and they said coffee, and I'm like, every truck driver drinks it. I've never been in a trucking company that had bad coffee. because it's important. It's our fuel. We keep going that way.
So there's all this going on. I mean, a lot of variables going on, Courtney. I mean, how do you get it right? Because there's different companies, different people. I have to think volunteers might change from year to year. What goes into getting one truck loaded and out of Columbia Falls on schedule?
There's a lot of work.
Okay.
There is so much work involved. I have a teammate that I work with, and she and I together start our plan is put together in probably by June. We know who's adding locations. We know that we've added over 500 locations this year. So we are up to over 4,218 locations, and that's up from 3,702 last year. So we add these locations. We work with our carriers. We spend a lot of time going, hey, I need to add an extra stop to your load. I hope that's okay. And sometimes I have to spring it on them when their truck is getting loaded and pray for the best. And our carriers are remarkable, and they don't say no. And I work with over 400 carriers that are out there that are committed and bought into this mission of what we're doing and understand how important it is. It's been one of the most rewarding things through the past year to see carriers that we brought on, and it may have been their first or second year, that have now taken on the cemetery in their own local area and know how important what Wreaths Across America is and what they can do for their own community and give back. So not only do they give back by hauling loads, but you've got companies like Rail Transportation out of Marshfield, Wisconsin, that is, sponsoring their local cemetery. And you've got, Rail that is making a contribution, as well as the donations. It's a fundraise to make sure that all of those veterans are remembered. That's huge. That's like a win-win.
This didn't happen overnight, and it's growing, it seems, with 400 carriers, 400 companies involved in seeing this happen. You get done with this at the end of your 3-week, stint up there, and then go back to your home. What's the feeling as you're on the plane leaving Maine and going back to where you're from after you've done all this?
That's interesting. I'm actually a location coordinator as well. So I leave Maine and I go down to New York. I am a location coordinator for Long Island National, which is a fairly large national cemetery. We have over 340,000 interned there. And so I leave Maine and I still get to see the benefits of what the trucking industry does when we get our wreaths delivered and that event. And then by the time I get on the plane from New York to go home, there's just so much gratitude that's in my heart. I know exactly how blessed I am to be surrounded by so many amazing people, groups, teams, that support Wreaths Across America, that make what we do possible, that come up and show out rain or shine, whether it's, the PGR, whether it's Rolling Thunder, whether it's Team Rubicon, whether it is, we have a group in Long Island called the Punishers that are, a military-based motorcycle group. We have so many groups like that come out, but we also have schools that are coming out, seeing everyone that comes together. For me, that's what Christmas is to me, is seeing all of that and being able to stand back and watch as I watch a kid that placed a wreath, and then the family walks up and tells them about their loved one and I think one of the most important things that I ever heard when I started volunteering with Wreaths Across America was from a Gold Star mom who said, don't ask me about her son. Don't ask me how he died. Ask me how he lived, and I'll tell you his story.
Yeah.
And that to me really resonated, because we are honoring people so deeply, and their families are, healing as we're doing this. And I'm just so lucky to be around so many amazing people. And then I get to see my family, and
Did
have
anybody in
some
your
Christmas and enjoy it as well.
did any of your family serve in the military?
Both of my grandfathers served. My brother-in-law is currently active duty. And there are others along the way as well. But it's definitely I remember, my brother-in-law being deployed and my niece not recognizing him when he came home. She recognized him on a FaceTime or, on video chat. And when he came home and wanted to hold her, and I was like, this is hard. I remember what my sister went through, having 2 kids and her husband not being there for Christmas. And yeah, that's one of the most humbling experiences. And so, being able to do this to honor so many families and make sure, I've met people who their husband was deployed and they only met their son or daughter twice before they were deployed, and then unfortunately didn't make it home. And I can't imagine how that would feel for their spouse. I can't imagine how that feels as a family. But hopefully the little things that we do here at Wreaths Across America make keeping their memory alive and saying their names. It just makes all the difference for families like that.
Sure. You didn't serve yourself, and you're serving this capacity. You see this grow every year. What do you think the future looks like for the logistical side of Wreaths Across America? Because, again, Karen and Brian made it very clear that, that it's the logistical side where that people don't see that really makes a lot of this work, and you're involved in that. So, what do you see the future being part of that?
The future for us is limitless here in the transportation segment. Our goal as an organization is to have a wreath on every veteran's headstone, domestic or abroad. So not only are we going to be working on domestic shipments, we're going to start working on abroad shipments at some point in the future. As we continue to grow, our team of 2 is going to continue to expand as well. And I look forward to, anyone who's able to step in with us and join that group. And, 2, it's getting out there and making sure that in anything trucking and logistics, we are out in front and having conversations, because as we grow, I need additional capacity. I need more carriers added. We are going to continue to walk through that, and we're going to continue to grow and expand and make this experience that these drivers have and come to. We have an entire first mile experience. In transportation, we focused on the final mile. That which is that final leg of delivery. So the first mile for me, for every driver who comes into Columbia Falls, is so important, where we give them a tour of, the plant, and they get to see how the wreaths are made. They have the opportunity to make a wreath themselves that they can place maybe on the headstone of a loved one, or, they may put it on their front door, whatever makes them happy. They got to make a wreath just like the wreaths that are being placed in the back of their truck. We take them out on our tip land. They are able to tour that and see, a lot of people, when I ask them how many trees they think it takes just to, make all these wreaths, and hopefully we're going to be at about 3 million this year. And yeah, I know that number 3 million is big. So I ask them, I'm like, how many trees do you think it's going to take? And they go, probably about 3 million. And I was like, it takes none. We don't cut any trees down.
What?
Yeah, we just tip them. So, for most all of us that look at a tree, it's in a triangle position.
Right.
We see that. And for us, ours are skinny because we are only coming in, and then, we continue each year. Our vendor makes sure that everything is fertilized, taking care of those trees grow. It's all renewable with that. So it's really a fascinating thing to see. But also out on the tip land, we have a dog tag program. So many of our drivers who are veterans or our Gold Star family members, they can place a dog tag for their loved one out on our tip land. And what that does is allow them to remember somebody. At this point to date, we have over 18,000 dog tags out there. I was going home the other night and driving through the tipland. It was dark. Sometimes it's nice. It's a good change of scenery. And it was dark, but I could see these little, as I'm driving, it looked like there were little itty bitty lights going off. And I got to stop. There was one that I was like, what is that over there? It was just pretty neat. And then I had to go, oh, it's, this is a dog tags. And some days you hear that wind blow and it sounds like a wind chime. And I stand there and go, I'm not here alone. There are so many people here who want me to know that they are still alive with their family members, and are grateful for what is being done for their honor.
So December 16th is when the drive starts. I know there's Wreaths rolling out already, but the drive to Arlington begins. And I think we're going to be right before Christmas when this drops. There's so much going on now. You still find time, though, it seems, to remember why you're there and what the overall objective is. As we wind this down, Courtney, what do you want people, Americans, to know about Wreaths Across America from your involvement at this level?
That's a loaded question. There's so much I want people to know, but I want people, most importantly, to know that there is still good out there. We live in a world that is incredibly divisive right now. And at the end of the day, please support your military veterans. Please know that they need and deserve, most importantly, our gratitude and our appreciation. It's one thing to look at a veteran and say, thank you for your service. It's another thing to look at them and say, thank you for our freedom, because they are why we have our freedom and have the life that we're allowed to live each day.
Well, as a veteran who served myself, I'd like to say thank you for being a great American. It's Americans like yourself that keep, people like me and people that, I served with who have passed, legacy alive. So thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Well, Courtney, Columbia Falls is like 3.5 hours from me. And, I know
if you get bored, come up and see us.
Well, I was thinking, you are an Alabama fan, right?
I am. Roll Tide.
I'm an LSU fan.
Getting close.
But
we're all aligned on cheering for the conference.
Conference first.
Yes.
Conference
today.
First. So, as an LSU fan, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Roll Tide. Yes. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
And thank you so much for everything you do for us and Wreaths Across America.
It's such an honor. And thank you for having me on and getting to talk to your, audience. It's a true pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Look, folks, you have it right there. Again, and one of the themes of Oscar Mike Radio is, hey, maybe you didn't serve. Maybe you don't know anything about the military, but you want to get involved. You'd be surprised what you have that you can do for someone else, veteran or not, or a veteran. So, we're closing up this year on a high note. Thank you again to, Brian, Karen, and Courtney for coming on and talking to us from Wreaths Across America. Jeff Pierce, if you're out there watching or listening, thank you so much for all you've done for me. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas from Oscar Mike Radio for Mission in Flight.
Join us on National Wreaths Across America Day, December 16th, 2023. Each December on National Wreaths Across America Day, our mission to remember, honor, and teach is carried out by coordinating wreath-laying ceremonies at Arlington National Cemetery, as well as more than 3,700 additional locations in all 50 states, at sea and abroad. Join us by sponsoring a veteran's wreath at a cemetery near you, volunteering, or donating to a local sponsor group.
Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio. where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 998 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.